Welcome to the Texas Department of Transportation Corpus Christi District pre-recorded open house presentation for the US 77 Woodsboro Refugio Improvement Project. We appreciate your interest in this project and thank you for your participation. This presentation will discuss the proposed improvements to US 77 from south of Woodsboro to north of Refugio in Refugio County, Texas. This virtual open house is being held to present information on the project development process and receive public input on the proposed US 77 Woodsboro Refugio Improvement Project. The purpose of this virtual open house is to describe the project to determine how the public may be affected, inform the public of the project status and recommendations, offer the public an opportunity to provide input, and to develop a record of public participation. This virtual open house is being held in compliance with both federal and state laws. Documentation of this open house will be included in the project record and will be posted on the project's webpage on TxDOT.gov. Keyword search US 77 Woodsboro Refugio. The US 77 Woodsboro Refugio Improvement Project is located along US Highway 77 in Refugio County, Texas. The proposed project spans approximately between 10.9 to 11.2 miles from south of Woodsboro to north of Refugio. The US 77 Woodsboro Refugio Improvement Project would upgrade the existing US 77 to interstate standards along the existing route near the town of Woodsboro and construct a new US 77 roadway to the interstate standards east of the city of Refugio. The goal of the project is to develop a roadway that meets interstate standards, supports community needs, promotes safety, and effectively serves Woodsboro and Refugio. So, you may ask, when would something get built? The project development process consists of 4 phases, each involving stakeholder and public engagement. The timeline of each phase noted here are estimates dependent on funding availability and the improvements to be advanced. A planning study was completed for this project in 2018 based on engineering, environmental, and public comment. This study recommended further study and refinement of the route around Refugio to the east side of existing US 77 and to the west side through Woodsboro. We are currently in the study schematic or environmental design phase, which is anticipated to be completed in 2024. Once an environmental decision is made and the selected alternative is identified to move forward, the next phase would involve right-of-way acquisition, utility relocation, and final design. This phase typically takes an additional 1 to 3 years to complete. This is where offers and negotiations would occur with property owners to acquire needed right-of-way. So, with construction taking 2 to 4 years to complete, you can see that we are approximately 4 to 9 years away from completion of the project. Now, let's talk about the schedule for this project. The project team began working on the proposed project in 2018. A route study was conducted for the proposed project and finalized in June 2018. During the route study, the need and purpose of the project was identified. Route options were developed, and each route was evaluated for environmental and community impacts. Based on public feedback, a route east of Refugio was ultimately selected as the preferred option for the future roadway. Substantial public involvement was conducted during this process, including the formation of a stakeholder working group consisting of local officials, business owners, and community leaders, which met regularly. The comment period for this open house will remain open through May 12, 2023. TxDOT plans to hold an additional public meeting in the fall of 2023 to review the preferred alternative and environmental constraints, with the public hearing expected to be held in early 2024. The final environmental assessment, or EA, and finding of no significant impact, or FONSI, is anticipated to be completed in 2024. Following receipt of a FONSI, we would move into the next stage of project development, and TxDOT would begin the right-of-way acquisition process and utility coordination. TxDOT would then develop detailed design plans, specifications, and estimates, or PS&E. Construction is anticipated to begin in 2028. Please note that the project schedule and dates are preliminary and based on available funding. The timeframe to complete all phases of work are estimates and span approximately a total of 10 to 12 years. The proposed project would upgrade the existing US 77 to interstate standards. TxDOT is also seeking feedback on the need to connect to US 183 for the purposes of maintaining the current hurricane evacuation route. Typical sections, the figures that appear on the following two slides, are used to explain how the roadway looks today compared to how the roadway would look after the construction of the proposed project. On this slide, looking at the top figure, the existing typical section for US 77 in Woodsboro includes two 12-foot wide lanes, 10-foot wide outside shoulders, and 4-foot wide inside shoulders in both directions. The bottom figure shows the proposed typical section. New main lanes and frontage roads would be constructed in each direction. The proposed project would consist of two 12-foot wide freeway lanes with 10-foot wide outside shoulders and inside shoulders varying in width in both directions. The frontage roads would consist of two 12-foot wide lanes with shoulders in both directions. On this slide, looking at the top figure, the existing typical section for US 77 in Refugio includes two 12-foot wide lanes in each direction, 5-foot wide sidewalks, and a 14-foot wide two-way left turn lane in the middle. The bottom figures show the proposed typical sections. For the portion south of Refugio and north of Woodsboro, new main lanes and frontage roads would be constructed in each direction. The proposed project would consist of 12-foot wide freeway lanes with 10-foot wide outside shoulders and 4-foot wide inside shoulders in each direction. The northbound and southbound main lanes would be separated by a 40-foot grassy median. For the route east of Refugio, new main lanes and frontage roads would be constructed in each direction. The proposed project would consist of two 12-foot wide freeway lanes with 10-foot wide outside shoulders and 4-foot wide inside shoulders in each direction. The frontage roads would consist of two 12-foot wide lanes with 8-foot wide outside shoulders and 4-foot wide inside shoulders in each direction. The northbound and southbound main lanes would be separated by a 40-foot grassy median. One of the added benefits of the proposed project is that the upgraded US 77 will continue to serve an important role in hurricane evacuation. Hurricane evacuation routes are specifically designed roadways used to provide the safest and most timely evacuation of coastal areas during a hurricane threat. US 183, which connects to US 77 in northern Refugio, is currently designated as a hurricane evacuation route. In order to maintain the connection, TxDOT is seeking your feedback on future routes that can be further evaluated as part of this study. In the map on the right, example B would connect at the existing US 183 junction in Refugio, and example A would connect further north along US 183. Another option would be to maintain the current evacuation route, which would require traffic to exit just north of Woodsboro and travel along US 77 as it exists today. The project development process will seek to minimize impacts on businesses and residences. Any proposed projects that will result from this study will be based on current TxDOT design standards and known environmental and engineering constraints. You can learn more about these on the TxDOT website, txdot.gov. Any future right-of-way acquisition would be completed in accordance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. The National Environmental Policy Act, also known as NEPA, requires federal agencies to assess their proposed actions' environmental effects before making decisions. TxDOT carries out the environmental review process for applicable transportation projects under an agreement with the federal government. Under NEPA, an EA is being prepared for the US 77 Woodsboro Refugio Improvement Project. The EA includes an analysis of community impacts including displacements and access, vegetation, threatened and endangered species, water resources, air quality, archaeological and historical resources, hazardous materials, traffic noise, farmland soils, and environmental justice, including impacts to minority and low-income groups. The public open house is part of the environmental process. Once public hearing comments have been addressed and any additional coordination is conducted, a final EA will be prepared. If, upon completion of the environmental review process, TxDOT determines the proposed project would have no significant adverse effects, TxDOT will prepare and sign a FONSI. The FONSI will be made available to the public. A desktop-level review of potential environmental constraints in the US 77 Woodsboro Refugio Improvement Project was conducted for the Route Study Report in 2018. Potentially suitable habitat is present in the area for state-listed species. The proposed project will implement best management practices for terrestrial reptiles, birds, vegetation, and water quality. The proposed project would include work within areas of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, designated floodplain and is anticipated to impact potentially jurisdictional waters, including Mission River and 4 other drainage features. If impacts to jurisdictional waters exceed the thresholds included in the nationwide permit, TxDOT will coordinate with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to obtain the appropriate permit. Hazardous material concerns would be primarily related to oil and gas activities in the area. Further evaluation of potential impacts to hazardous materials sites would be conducted to rule out unusual circumstances. Prior to December 16, 2014, the Federal Highway Administration, or FHWA, reviewed and approved documents prepared under NEPA. However, on December 16, 2014, the Texas Department of Transportation assumed responsibility from FHWA through a Memorandum of Understanding to review and approve certain assigned NEPA environmental documents. This Memorandum of Understanding between TxDOT and FHWA was updated on December 9, 2019. The review and approval process would apply to the proposed project. Notices for this open house were advertised in the Refugio County Press and through other media in English and Spanish, and on the TxDOT.gov website under Hearings and Meetings Schedule. The TxDOT Public Information Office also prepared a news media release to advertise the public meeting. The materials for this public open house are available on the project website at www.txdot.gov, keyword search US 77 Woodsboro Refugio. Comments would be accepted in several ways. You may fill out an online comment form by visiting www.txdot.gov, keyword search US 77 Woodsboro Refugio, then click Online Comment Form or click on Printable Comment Form to print and mail your comments. You can email your comments to Gabriel Longoria, PE, TxDOT Project Manager at gabriel.longoria@txdot.gov. You can mail in your comments to the TxDOT Corpus Christi District Office, attention Gabriel Longoria, PE, at 1701 South Padre Island Drive, Corpus Christi, Texas, 78416. All comments must be received or postmarked by Friday, May 12, 2023. The comment period starts on Wednesday, April 26, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. and ends on Friday, May 12, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. Questions may be asked at any time during the project development process. Contact Gabriel Longoria, PE, by email at gabriel.longoria@txdot.gov or by calling 361-808-2383. For additional project information, visit www.txdot.gov and keyword search US 77 Woodsboro Refugio. That concludes our presentation. Please remember to submit your comments by May 12, 2023. Thank you for viewing this presentation and participating in the open house.